share my screen. All right, so welcome to Connecting with Our Kids to Foster a Positive Body Image. My name is Gillian, and I'm a mind-body eating coach and the founder of Beautiful Brilliance Coaching. I help empower moms and women to feel good in their body with a non-diet approach so they can conquer their fears and help their families thrive. One of my beliefs is that when women rise, their families and children will rise as well. This is what I found in my previous career as a registered nurse and lactation consultant. And I moved into this work because I found that so many women just did not feel comfortable in their bodies and did not trust their bodies. And I want to change that. So if you are here, you might have heard your kids have negative comments about their body. You might not be feeling great about your body. And you're totally fine to be admitting this because you're not alone. In fact, 91% of women in the Western world say that they feel dissatisfied with their bodies. If you're here, you may feel like you don't want your kids to carry on the cycle of dieting and not dieting, back and forth, the yo-yo dieting. And for purposes of this presentation, I'll refer to diets as meaning a certain way of eating that restricts certain foods or amounts of foods, not diagnosed, not for a medical condition or for a diagnosed allergy. And this is just, of course, to provide educational information. I'm not a psychologist, dietitian, or other registered health professional. And just if you can make sure that your mic is muted as well. And again, this is being taped, so recorded. So I just want to give you a little bit about my story and why I wanted to speak about this at the Let's Talk Hope event. So when growing up, I was very involved in ballet and loved it. I was the driving force for it. But one day when I was about 8 or so, my ballet teacher told my mom that she didn't think I would pass the next exam. And I took that to mean that my body wasn't good enough. And throughout the next couple of years, that feeling and that thought just kept on going and kept on evolving. And by the time I was 11, I started to restrict food, and I continued to progressively restrict food and lose weight. And then eventually around that time, I realized that I had an eating disorder in hindsight. Back then, it was undiagnosed. There wasn't that much information about it. And so I just, kept on going. I kept hiding the fact that I wasn't eating to my family. And I'm not sure whether they noticed or not, but nothing much was done. And so it was, I had undiagnosed anorexia at the time. Fortunately, when I was 14, I was able to take a look at a different perspective and notice that if all the other girls were eating at the ballet summer school, then maybe I could eat as well. And so I almost just automatically snapped out of it, but continued on, never feeling good about my body, and just not being able to trust myself around food, not sure whether I was eating too much or not enough, and just kept on going from there. Then this continued, and then kind of got a little bit worse after I had my son. And I wanted to lose the baby weight and feel normal again. Well, I lost the baby weight and I felt horrible. And I actually ended up with a heart condition called pericarditis, which I've healed from. But during that time, I found the mind-body eating coaching program through the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. And finally, I began to heal my relationship with food. And later on, I was introduced to intuitive eating, which is similar to some of the principles of eating psychology. So now I enjoy helping moms change their views of their body and feel good about it, and then teach their children as well. So what is body image? Body image has 4 components: how we see our body and ourselves, our physical appearance, how we feel about our body, positive or negative feelings, and how we think about our body with positive or not negative thoughts. And then the last one is how we behave as a result of how we see, think, and feel about our body. So these can include things like dieting, restricting, overeating, over-exercising, joyful movement, and self-care if we are feeling good about ourselves. So signs of a positive body image, which is what we're here for, is to accept our body, that our body is not perfect, not to associate our worth or character with our body appearance. And that's a really big one that I work with a lot of moms and women for, that people celebrate their body and eat without restriction or guilt, and follow their natural body hunger and fullness cues. Signs of a low body image include preoccupation with weight and appearance, shame, anxiety, self-consciousness about their bodies, comparing bodies to others and feeling inadequate, depression, isolation, low self-esteem, and disordered eating, and unhealthy behaviors to change weight and shape. And then the consequences of a poor body image include feeling not good enough, becoming a perfectionist to make up for not having the ideal body, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and even suicidal thoughts. So just if you want to just take a moment, and if you have pen and paper, or you can even just think in your mind is fine too, just take a few moments and write down how you're feeling about your body in this moment, or how you felt about your body in the past. Okay, ready to go on? So let's just look at the stats for kids. Some are US and some are Canadian. So for girls, 80% of 17-year-olds are unhappy with their body and worried about becoming fat. The incidence, the biggest one for me is the incidence of eating disorders in kids in Canada is 2 to 4 times more than the incidence of type 2 diabetes in children, which is alarming to me because there's so many campaigns trying to prevent childhood obesity, and yet now it's gone to the other end onto the end of an eating disorder. So that tells me that we really need to start paying attention to the messages that we're feeding our children. No pun intended. So, and boys are not immune to this. 25% of teen boys are concerned about muscularity and leanness. So what can we do to help ourselves and our kids? So number 1 is change how we ourselves see our own bodies and heal our relationship with food, if that's needed, and to be curious about our narrative and to look for evidence to help change that narrative about our bodies. Second is learn about normal child growth and development for our kids. And third is to develop a positive relationship with our kids that fosters authentic communication about hard topics. So first, to look at our own relationship with our body and food. So parents, you are the most influential role model in your kids' lives. And starting to heal your body image and relationship with food will have a major impact on your kids. And keep in mind that not all large bodies are unhealthy and not all small bodies are healthy. A part of this is to learn what diet culture is and learn about that. And just a bit of a trigger warning. Sometimes talking about our bodies and our relationship with food can trigger unexpected negative emotions and even defensiveness. So I offer this information without judgment. I have been there. Many of us have been there. Um, so if you do have challenging thoughts and emotions, I encourage you to just sit with them for a bit and look at them with a different perspective, which I'm going to offer you today. So diet culture is pervasive in the Western world. It equates thinness to health and moral value. It falsely demonizes certain ways of eating and elevates other ways of eating. Many of us grew up with these rules as the typically right way of eating and developing a healthy lifestyle. This is exactly what the diet industry wants because they thrive on us dieting, not maintaining it, and then feeling shame and then doing it all over again. So this type of diet culture thinking often oppresses people who don't meet the thin ideal body size determined by the diet culture. And this generally includes women and the LGBT, BIPOC, and disabled communities. So why diets don't work in the long term? So there's many reasons. And as you noticed that sometimes when you diet and you finish the diet, then you gain back the same amount of weight, if not more. And there's a reason for this. So the diet industry wants this to happen and have that shame so that they can offer us a new diet. But it's not your fault that your diet didn't work. Dieting lowers your metabolic rate. Food restriction biologically leads to food overconsumption because we have an innate neurobiological mechanism in our brains and body that help us to maintain an optimum weight set point for our bodies. And every time you diet, that set point increases just in case your body will experience another time of famine or hibernation, which is what your body sees a diet. So that's a really important thing to remember. Diets cause, just a minute. And diets decrease our ability to feel hunger. And again, that just makes the vicious cycle of dieting go around and around, causing us to lose weight, gain back to our set point, and then gain even more because our weight set point has increased a bit higher with each diet. So the next thing to look at is the child growth and development. So kids' bodies change in preparation for puberty, and during this time, it includes bodies gain weight. Body changes continue for many years, and the average child can grow as much as 25 centimeters during puberty. Kids start developing at different ages, some as early as 8 years, and some not until 14 years. So it's normal, like if your kids are comparing themselves to their peers, it's very normal for kids of the same age to be very different in height, size, and stage of development. But our kids don't necessarily know that. And so if we can teach them before these stages happen, it can really help to normalize things for them. So, and lastly is connecting with our kids. So when our kids come to us with something important to share, it's really, if we can really try hard not to freak out on the inside, even or on the outside, even though we're freaking out on the inside. And my son is 9, and so I'm trying to learn this as we go along. Um, and also, when you're speaking with your kids, if instead of making comments about your own body, like if you're looking in the mirror and thinking, oh, I'm having a fat day, or things I don't like the way such and such looks, instead express gratitude for what your body can do, and your kids will pick up on that and start learning to express gratitude for what their bodies can do. And then also, you might have heard about growth mindset. So things like instead of saying, I can't do that, things like, I can't do that yet, or I don't like eating broccoli. I don't like eating broccoli yet. So, and of course, offering balanced nutrition and joyful movement are important to every kid's development as well. And the key for this is to try and uncouple exercise with the diet mentality. Instead, just have joyful movement for the sake of knowing that it makes our bodies feel good. And and it doesn't have a goal of changing our body weight or our shape. And then also looking at social media and influencers, and what our kids are seeing on TV, and knowing what we now know about diet culture, taking that information just to kind of gently poke holes at what they're seeing. Maybe say, oh, that's probably been airbrushed, or you know, maybe they must not be eating if they're that thin. Things like that, poking holes in what you're seeing based on what we know about diet culture. So you might be wondering what to do now, though. So there is a different way. There's a more inclusive way of looking at body image and eating. You want to first start removing distractions like the TV and watching TV and being on devices, because that's a big reason why our kids and ourselves lose that ability to feel our hunger and fullness cues. We lose that attunement. And kids and adults have that inborn biological mechanism that I was talking about, and it helps us to regulate the intake of food and regulate our weight to what it needs to be just naturally. So distractions and interferences from parents, I'd say parents, adults, and loss of autonomy for the kids can really push down that attunement and knowing of and feeling of the hunger and fullness cues. So, and when I talk about adult interference, it can simply be things like saying, oh, you have to eat all of your food before you get dessert, things like that. So, or you didn't eat enough, or I can't believe you just ate that. Those sorts of comments is what I consider adult interference. And again, letting go of many of the food rules that we might have grown up with, because that promotes a feeling of shame and guilt, which then perpetuates the poor body image and disordered eating. So Ellen Satter's division of responsibility of feeding is the main one that I recommend for child feeding, for teaching kids how to eat and respond to their body cues. Ellen Satter is a child feeding expert and a registered dietitian. Her method has been well researched, and she breaks it down into the parent's responsibility and the child's responsibility. So parents are responsible to set the what, when, and where of eating, and children are responsible to choose the if and how much they will eat. Parents, of course, can keep in mind their kids' likes and dislikes while still offering the opportunity to have different foods. So, and of course, the goal for this is progress over perfection. It's not to be made into another diet. They're just principles to helping parents learn how to teach their kids to eat and to follow those cues. If you want more information on this, Dr. Gillian Murphy is a naturopath, and she has a website and podcast called Food Freedom Body Love. And there's a great 5-part free podcast for parents on how to start implementing Ellen Satter's method with their kids. And just remembering that kids require many chances to eat and try new foods, and offering it without judgment or intervention from adults before they will develop a taste for it. So just a quick example, my son, he's a picky eater generally and doesn't like a lot of spice on his food. So usually if we're having tacos, I'll put some of the ground beef aside without the spice and then put the spice on for us. And one day I forgot about this and he ate it because I didn't say anything. He ate it and without complaining. And then the next time I remembered to remove the meat and not put spice on it. And he asked me what was wrong with it. Why didn't it taste right? And I realized it was because there was spice. So now he eats normal tacos. So that's just an example of one way that it can help. So the next one is, the next method is called intuitive eating. And this is more for parents or adults, I should say, who want to heal their relationship with food, try something other than a fad diet. And it's not a diet at all. Again, it's progress over perfection. And it's a well-researched method developed by Evelyn Triboli and Elise Resch. There are 10 principles for intuitive eating. The first one is reject the diet mentality. Second is honor your hunger. Third, make peace with food. Fourth is challenge the food police, which is kind of the diet culture that we've talked about. 5 is feel your hunger. 6 is discover satisfaction. 7 is cope with feelings without using food. 8 is respecting your body. 9 is exercise and movement. And 10 is honor your health with gentle nutrition. So just a moment to reflect. After hearing this presentation and learning maybe some new things, just reflect and ask yourself, what information shared today gives you evidence to possibly change your thoughts about your body? And then what are the new thoughts that you want to apply to yourself today? And what will you share with your kids to help them start thinking more positively about their bodies? I'll just give you a few seconds to jot that down. Okay, so moving on, I just wanted to kind of, just because I feel like there's not a lot of information out there for parents and adults to recognize an eating disorder either in themselves or their children. I just want to give the signs. I do not help, or I don't coach diagnosed eating disorders. That's beyond my scope of practice, but I want to make everyone aware of what the signs of a possible eating disorder are, just so they can know or keep it in mind if they're concerned about their children or themselves or a friend. So the signs of a possible eating disorder include chronic dieting, even though they're already thin, obsession with calories and fat contents in food, a fixation with food, often baking or cooking for others, but then not eating the items themselves, isolation from family and friends, especially at meal times, and ritualistic behaviors. So when I had my eating disorder, I would eat a little bit and then run to the bathroom and weigh myself to see if I would allow myself any more food. And in my, teenage brain, that was how I decided whether I could have more food or not. Now I know that weighing right after a meal doesn't mean anything. So yeah, so those are just some of the main things to keep in mind if you're concerned about a loved one or yourself. That if you're concerned if you do have an eating disorder, many of them are similar to a low body image. However, I just want to make a note that these are like extreme behaviors. On the extreme end of what might be considered just being on a diet. So there's that. And then where to get help. So of course, I'm happy to help you with any body image or challenging eating, a challenging eating relationship or disordered eating. Then of course, there's Dr. Gillian Murphy's podcast, From Food Freedom, Body Love. And then for the children, Ellen Satter. So any of her books are great, and you can go to her website to find all of her books and then order them as you like. And then the intuitive eating, there's a regular book and a workbook. And for intuitive eating, I really do suggest that you get some guidance in that. It's by reading the book, you probably won't become an intuitive eater. It does take practice, and it takes a lot of mindset work as well. So when we change our thoughts, it changes our behavior, which changes our actions, which changes our results. And then for eating disorders, the National Eating Disorder Info Center is probably your best place to start. I believe they have a questionnaire, and they can help you with what to do next. So their number is there, 1-866-633-4220. And of course, talking to your family physician. So I just wanted to, before I finish this off, I just wanted to thank all of my mentors who have come before me in this work. It's a bit of an uphill battle, I find, for this work because diet culture is so pervasive. So I'm so thankful to the women who have come before and done so much work. So Tanya Mark, she's a non-diet nutrition coach. Stephanie Doje, she does the Going Beyond the Food podcast and program. Christy Harrison is a registered dietitian. Linda Bacon, previously Linda Bacon, she wrote the book Health at Every Size. Evelyn Triboli and Elise Resch of Intuitive Eating. Diane Bondi, she's a yoga instructor and social justice professional. Shelby Gordon, again, works in social justice, and she's a Black Health at Every Size coach. And then Ellen Satter, of course, the child feeding expert. So wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all feel this way in our bodies? So it just says, if I felt this way when I was 12, if I felt this way when I was 12, I wouldn't have had any problems. So if we could all just feel powerful when we grow out and our body changes, to still feel powerful in our bodies. So, and my hope for you today is that you can know that your value is not based on the number on a scale, and that you can begin living with a sense of worth and value, no matter what your body looks like, and that in turn we can teach this to our children. So I just want to say a quick thank you, and I'm happy to take questions. And yeah, thank you for coming to the Let's Talk Hope conference and then to this workshop. So there's my contact info as well. And I do have, actually, sorry, I just have to go back a little bit here. Do I have it? I did have, maybe it's not here. Oh, yes, I do have a link for for a freebie, like a free download for 6 saver self-care tips for moms. So I can try and put that in the comments here as well. So let me see if I can do that. There we go. Yeah, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to take questions. And if not, then you're free to go. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining me. And again, my name's Gillian of Beautiful Brilliance Coaching. And thank you for wanting to learn more about body image and how to heal your relationship with food, and also help teach your children how to do that as well. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me. If you're watching this recording, you can contact me at www.beautifulbrilliancecoaching.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook tag is at Beautiful Brilliance IPE, and my Instagram is at Beautiful Brilliance Coaching. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and let me know, feel free to email me if this has helped you in your journey, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.